How's it going, Blade This is David with Blade Banter, working to bring you specifications you can relate to so you can have an educated decision on your purchases. This is going to be one from Benchmade, so thank you very much to Benchmade for providing this to the pass-around group to check this out. This is an automatic knife. Can't really tell from the clip, but it is an auto. There's the 3400 Autocrat, so I guess the definition of that is like a ruler who has absolute power. Whether that be the case for this, I'm not too sure, but thank you for them for providing it. It comes in a few different colors for the knife. It comes in black, tan, green, and a blackout version, which is going to be the blackout blade and also the blackout blade. I said blade. Blacked out handle too. So that's going to be how that works. So this is going to be the operation of it. So very snappy. I was able to handle a different one on it, and this one seems to have a little bit better spring pressure for that switch. I'm not an expert on OTFs. I've only handled a few of them, so correct me in the comments if I get anything wrong for the information or some of the terminology used for it. But they also do have outside automatics, so they do have the 940 that was just made into an automatic as well. So for this one, it's going to be about 3.9 ounces. So 3.9 ounces for this channel, again, it's going to be by quarters, so 19 quarters and 1 penny. So that's where you can actually get that at. Put it in hand, get an idea as far as what that might be. So basically each quarter is going to be 0.2 ounces. Each penny is going to be 0.1 ounces. So if you do happen to have a bug out laying around, that's 1.9 ounces. Do the math, and then you can actually put the quarters right on top of it, get it in hand, and see how this knife would feel for you. Because numbers are numbers, but sometimes it's a little bit harder to get an idea as far as what that is until you actually handle it. So that's kind of the idea behind that whole thing. Currently, this is going to be about the low 400s for the price point, and then MSRP is about 470 for this one here. So stick around. Subscribe, join on in. Just past 3,000 subscribers, so we'll see what we're going to do with that. But this one for the Lyman pull gauge, so to actually see what this switch would take to actually do the deployment and retraction. So I got the Lyman pull gauge and kind of was able to kind of finagle it to be able to get it to pull down and get the pull and then actually deploy it as well. So it took about 5 to 6 pounds of pressure. So if you're worried about this deploying in your pocket through normal use, don't worry about that, because I mean you have a lot of travel to be able to actually have it go down. So I mean that's much travel, so it's very much going to be intentional. If you wanted to close it or if you want to open it, it's going to be very intentional as well. So don't worry about this deploying in your pocket. It's going to do just fine for that. This one's going to be about cutting edge for this one is about 3.63 inches, and this actually is a double-sided dagger blade. It is kind of a chisel ground because it only is ground on one side of the blade, so this side is actually sharpened, this side is not. So that's going to be how that is sharpened for this model here. So that's going to be just a little bit different way to do it, and the sharpening process still sharp, still cuts, still stabs. But that's just a little bit different for the mechanism, or not mechanism, but for the blade itself. Flat ground for it, S30V, so that's an increase from the Infidel. I think the Infidel was running a D2 blade steel, so this is going to be kind of their baseline steel that they use for most of their knives is S30. That's where the bug out has as well. Corrosion resistant side is going to be about 70th percentile, and edge retention about 59th percentile in comparison to some other steels out there. Handle length is going to be about 5.5 inches. So for me, as far as handle length, the grip area, I find basically 3.5 is going to be pretty comfortable. 4.5 is going to be pretty good for just about everybody out there as far as that actual length. So 5.5 is going to probably work for just about everybody on it. And then the actual behind edge thickness on it came out to be about 6 sheets of paper. So get that out of your printer. About 6 sheets of paper for this one here, about 26 thousandths. And then blade stock is about 2.17 millimeters. Took it about here on the blade stock when I measured that. Right hand tip up, left hand tip up, as I was saying before. Good clearance on it too. So as it being kind of a possible operator knife, the actual clearance on this is actually pretty good. So you can get it in and out of pocket. If you're wearing it on maybe a vest or something, it shouldn't have any issues with that retention, with that holding, and as well as basically clearing anything if you have something thicker that you're putting it onto. But that's going to be a pretty good setup for it. For myself, this blade style doesn't serve my purposes very well because I don't stab a lot of stuff. I cut boxes, I might open things, I might cut down boxes. This knob, I found that the length of it and just the overall setup of it didn't really work very well. And as any automatic, you're going to have a little bit of play to it, side to side, up and down. So that's going to be a standard thing for it. So that's nothing to fault them on, but it hasn't failed on me as far as the deployment side. But you will find with that basically 5 pounds it takes, I'm right-handed, so doing that left-handed sometimes is a little bit tougher to do. So that's where I would probably prefer something more of the push button style to do an automatic than the switch. So that's just my personal preference on it. I would like to see this maybe in a type of maybe a Warncliffe type of blade. That would suit my purposes properly, and then it would still be an automatic setup for it. But that's just my preference on it. But as far as anything that's similar to an automatic, I had a previous video on this knife. This is the Kershaw. So this is one that's a pretty cool little one. And then it's actually a deployment that actually happens from the sheath. So this is kind of an old one that was like 2007 when that one came out. But you're going to look at this one here. So that's going to be a bug out. You're going to also have a rat number 2. And then you're going to have the Solaris, which is going to be kind of a staple for any type of size comparisons. And then you have basically a pair 3. So that's going to be about the sizing for those. But let me know as far as what you feel about it. What other automatics that you guys recommend? I would like to try a Guardian tactical knife. Those seem like a pretty interesting mechanism as far as how they work the switch. But maybe that'll be a 1 point, probably 035 looks to be the one that I want to check out at some point. But that's the Benchmade. But that's about all I have to say about that one today.